Hi, and welcome to Modding Mental Health.
Podcast about video games and, well, mental health.
In this episode, we discuss To the Moon. Our conversation includes talks of death, disassociation, and parental favoritism. Thank you so much for your time and discretion.
Now that you know what's coming your way, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and join us. And grab your platypus.
And let's regroup on the moon.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Modding Mental Health. Messenger, today is a very special episode. Do you know why?
I do know why. Do you want me to tell you?
Can you please tell me why we're so excited
Yes.
today?
I would love to tell you why, Kat. So we today have a wonderful and very special guest. Hello, I am Inna.
Hello.
Woo!
How are you girls?
Hi, Inna.
I'm doing great. Now that you're here, honestly, mommy. Hello.
Oh, wow.
Sorry,
Hot mommy?
Sorry. The one, the only, attractive, sexy, hot mommy Inna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Twitch.tv/HelloIamInna. Give her a follow.
Please, please do. Inna is our incredible, hot, and amazing, and very talented friend who is currently residing in Ireland and is also melting under this excessive heat that we are here suffering under in Europe. And she's going on a trip soon.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go, Inna?
Next week, I'm traveling to United States and I get to meet lovely cats there.
Woo! Let's
Imagine
go!
that.
Anna and I get to touch each other.
Oh.
I'm so excited. Not in that way. Y'all nasty.
Yeah.
I'm excited to touch cat. I can't lie.
Wonderful. I want to come too, guys. Please.
I know. Come on. Just stop planning a wedding and stuff. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Just come to America. Who cares?
In this economy.
Sure. I'm sure my mom would love that idea.
Other than like Mother Nature trying to kill us all, how's your week been, Messenger? What's the haps? Give us the lowdown, throwdown.
Not much. I got rejected from a job I applied to, but it's fine.
We love rejection. It just means it wasn't meant to be.
I'm moving through it. Yeah, I'm moving through it. I'm gonna view it as a challenge to actually look for something. I got other things planned in the future, so hopefully there's something out there. Someone out there wants to. Hey, everyone, if you need someone working in Germany or maybe remotely, I don't know, as I have a master's degree in global British studies and I have 1 year of work experience working in online marketing
Mommy has
management.
a master's
So if you have any
degree?
job offers,
The
I'll
shame is
take them.
blood. She's smart. She's hot. What she
What
can
can't
do.
she do, right?
Yeah. I can speak Polish as well, so
Oh,
you need me to do that.
The flex. Oh my god.
Right?
hmm
Damn.
Which means I can speak Polish with the incredibly limited vocabulary that I have, that I can order a coffee accent free because I've trained my brain to just repeat the exact same words as they're spoken from the other people. But as soon as they ask me anything, I have to be like, sorry, I actually don't speak Polish that well. And they're like, you're not Polish? I'm like, nope.
I'm glad I'm just an arrogant American. I just know English.
Yeah.
Hey,
Must be nice.
You know what? How many languages do you speak?
So, okay, that's a question that brings up a lot of debate. I can speak, of course, my native language is Croatian. I can speak English, obviously. I know basic German. I'm trying to learn more. I can understand it more than I can speak it. But considering that Croatian is a Slavic language, so technically I'm fluent-ish in Serbian, Bosnian, and I can understand any other language that is in Slavic group of languages. So that means
That's cool.
Polish, Slavic, Slovenians, Slovakian, Macedonian, a little bit of Russian and things like that. So
Inna's penis is massive.
Wow.
kind of. It's not.
A language penis.
Nothing on me. It's massive.
So if I speak Polish, You understand?
It wouldn't be like 100%, but quite a
Huh.
few words because they do overlap a lot.
Rozumiesz? Czy ja mówię po polsku troszeczkę, bo I don't know. Lubisz kawę?
I do like coffee, yes.
Wow, what a great conversation. I feel very included right now. This is
So
like,
rusty. I'm so...
And she asked me, do I understand when she's speaking in Polish, and asked me, do I like coffee? So, yeah. But that's me just based on what I know. I know
y'all are so
Croatian.
cute. Wait.
We have a secret language now. Cat can't understand. To be
Yeah.
fair, I will probably not understand any Croatian.
Like literally, you asked me, do I like coffee? In Croatian would be "Jel piješ kavu? Voliš li kavu?" It's kind of
Oh, okay. I understand
See?
what is like. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And as well,
All right.
understand is the same word. We also say "rozumieš," so it's the same word. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm
Well, I should
saying.
learn
Yeah.
Croatian.
If you know one
Already
Slavic
halfway there.
language, you can understand most of them.
I feel like knowing English first is a I don't know. Is it weird to say that I feel like knowing English first is a disadvantage because there are so many specific
Yeah.
things when a lot of other language it's more like subjective. It
Yeah.
matters more on context of what you're saying, but a lot of words are the same. You know what I mean? Well, in
Yeah.
English, it's like there's a different word for like almost everything. So then I
Yeah,
feel like I'm
will
thinking
be.
about it too complicated. Like I'm making it way more complicated in my head when it doesn't need to be like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because at this point, like knowing English isn't even a flex, especially in Europe.
Everybody knows English. It's-
Yeah, it's like in Europe, if you know other languages than besides English, that's a flex
Yeah.
then. But it's a typical life of a European person to know at least like 3, 4 languages.
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely very true. I think so. English is a very idiosyncratic language, but makes it really hard to perfect. So for us second language speakers, we get into it quite easily, but to actually perfect it is really really hard
Yeah, that is true.
because words don't have an outward meaning, they have an inward meaning. So you attach lots of meanings to a word and you cannot, it's very opaque. You can't, is it opaque the right word? Is it the other way around? Like you can't see what meaning is behind a word versus lots of other languages are more literal, but the grammar is gonna be a
Yeah,
lot more
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
intensive.
yeah.
So there's differences there. Like languages like Polish and German, it's really hard to start at the very start, but it's really easy to perfect because once you get over that threshold, then it's like, okay, I understand now how this works. So, but lots of people, they stop at that like beginning threshold and they're like, no, this is too hard to learn, which I totally understand.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I agree.
just some linguistic stuff out there that, I did.
Yeah, the fun thing is because I've been living in Ireland 8 years now, as we're talking about languages. So I'm kind of at this point, I'm not using even, Croatian that much. Like I only times when I use Croatian is when I talk to my dog, and that's, sometimes during the day. And I am at that phase where I'm starting to forget Croatian because I think in English, I work in English, I speak every day in English. And I was visiting Croatia in February, and my mom and our family friend were in front of me and they were talking. My family friend was like, "Oh, she's really good at Croatian." And my mom is like, "Yeah, she really is." It's like, better be. I spoke it. I spoke it for over 20 years. I grew up with it. I'm like, please. Thank you. I guess I am good at Croatian.
Oh my god, it happens. It happens. Once you don't have like that everyday contact anymore, it's
Yeah.
really easy to just unlearn it. But it comes back. It comes back. If you just
does.
in that context a little bit
'Cause
more, yeah.
My
It's-
mom made
yeah.
fun of me when I forgot the word in Croatian for table. And she let me struggle for 5 minutes until she just said, "Do you mean
Aw.
table?" And I was like, "Yes, mom." And she just laughed.
Oh no.
Kat, except for in our coming to visit very, very soon, do you have any cool updates for us?
Other than my my baby Bullet getting bigger. That's pretty much it. I mean, life's been
Mr.
crazy.
Midnight.
My Mr. Midnight, and then we have Big Chungus, who's just mad all the time. Burrow, she's fluffy, but they get along fine. They're siblings. They have sibling
That's
energy.
good.
I mean, he is your
Um,
cat, so
yeah. Well, Burrow matches my personality. That's why she gets along more with Wyatt, and then Bullet matches Wyatt's personality, which is why he gets along with me. I can't handle
oh,
Burrow. We're both too stubborn for each other. Doesn't work.
now you know how we feel.
She wants things her way, and I want things my way, and it's just none of us are happy. Bullet doesn't care. Bullet, I can just throw around, and he's happy to be here.
That's cute.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just happy to be included.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other than that, just figuring myself out, going through my mental health journey, as always. Got in contact with my therapist again to talk about some
Nice.
dissociation things, since recently I caught some stuff on camera, which has been very interesting to view. And it's weird to talk about because I view it from like a third person perspective. Like I view it how I
Mhm.
show other people view it. Like I can't see it as me.
Me, yeah,
And
makes
I
sense.
don't know how to articulate how mind-boggling that is.
Mhm.
To watch your body and to know that it's like that is you, but it's not really you at the moment, but it is you doing things, but the lights are off. Like you can tell the lights are off in my head, just complete autopilot. It is so freaky. Like I don't know how to wrap. It's like I want to say it's like a feeling of embarrassment, but I can't even feel embarrassed because it wasn't me, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I guess
Yeah.
it's more like secondhand cringe. But anyways, that's pretty much just figuring it out.
It feels like you're watching a TV show of yourself.
Yeah, it's not it's uncanny.
It's
It's
very
weird.
weird out of body
Yeah.
Yeah.
experience. But I'm glad you talking to your therapist about it. You know, you're aware.
Just trying to be more open. I'm trying to normalize it.
It should be
That's what we
normalized.
It
like.
should be, but I also understand that it kind of makes other people uncomfortable. And I think that mostly just
Yeah.
comes from my family always tiptoeing around it.
I see.
And I'm now being taught from friends and other people in my life that you don't have to tiptoe around it. You can be straight up honest.
Yeah.
Why do you have to tiptoe? There's no point. So I'm doing that now. I'm just being straightforward. Being straightforward with it.
That's awesome. Straightforward. Um, almost like a rocket that goes up to
Just
space.
like a rocket that goes
one-
up to space. Kind of like how Sigma Corp uses like a technology to create artificial memories. You know?
Exactly.
I don't have memories. Someone call him up. Hello, Dr. Watts? Is that you? Neil? Hit it, messenger.
But I don't have it set up correctly. Bup.
Yeet.
Yay!
Oh, amazing. So if y'all don't know, HelloIamInna suggested that Messenger and I play a game called To the Moon. And Inna, I just have to ask, where did you find this game? What made you want to suggest it to us? I just want to know.
Yeah, so how I didn't find this game actually. It kind of found me, let's say, but through somebody else because in my early days of Twitch and streaming, I had a completely different community and everything. We still talk together, sometimes, but life happens. We haven't been together for a long time. But I was streaming one day and one of good friends, he messaged me and he was like, "Hey, I have this game I would like to recommend to you." he was like, it's bit point and click, not my favorite. He was like, trust me, it's a short game, but it's an amazing game. I'm sure you will like it. It's very emotional. And I was like, okay, let me check it out. And he sent me, oh, it's To the Moon. And he was like, I really loved it so much. And I'm going to gift it to you because it's something to be experienced, like it's a really good game. It has a really good story. And I was like, okay, let me try. I may finish it in one stream. And then I started it. Honestly, I was like, I don't see this game as an emotional, what is this? And then I played it and I sobbed like a little baby the first time I played it. It hit hard. I was crying on stream. I was really, really caught off guard, and I finished it there and I loved it so much. So I started recommending it to everybody. I recommended it to my other friend and she was like, oh, okay, I don't see how this game will be something I will play and enjoy. Then she played it, she streamed it, she cried as well. Then she recommended to other people. And so it kind of, like just continues. It's like a domino effect. It is a short game, but it has a strong message and it hits you in the heart.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. Do you want to try to do a quick one paragraph, like 5 sentence synopsis of the main plot, Inna?
Yeah, so it's a game where there is this company that rich people can hire. And it's a scientist, and they send the scientists and the dying people tell them what is their dying wish, how they want to, let's say, die, how to, like, memory. They have their last wish. It's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they send out these two scientists, and they enter the memory of a dying person, and they kind of manipulate it so the person can die happy and content. It doesn't have to be an actual memory. They can just tweak it a little bit, and that's to make sure that they have a happy ending. So basically, then we follow a story of those two scientists, and they do that the same for one of their patients who said he wants to go to the moon, and then we find out why. Why is that? Why to the moon and how they achieve it.
That was beautiful.
So I agree with Inna. When I first started playing the game, point and clicks are not my thing. That's why I use you can use the little arrow keys by your numpad if anybody has that. I ended up doing that, but
Yeah.
I will say at the start of the game, it kind of
It drags.
the dialogue you read, it does drag. It leaves you out. It's like it plays like you're supposed to know the information. Like it
Yeah.
it's very resistant to tell you what's going on. So you just kind of have to stick through it and be curious. And
It's really one of those trust the process.
yeah, definitely. Especially after knowing everything that's going to happen. It's more exciting. It makes the replay more enjoyable, I'll say. As someone who doesn't often replay games, this is definitely one I would like to replay after having all the knowledge that I do at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Because everything clicks and makes sense. When I was watching Messenger play it on stream after I had play it, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like that makes so much sense. And then Messenger's over here like, the hell?
Yeah,
Like, what is
that
going
was
on?
me watching every other person. I'm just watching and crying at the start, and I was like, I want to tell them so bad, but I don't want to, so I will ruin
Aw.
it.
Yeah, I was legit. I feel like at the beginning I was definitely a bit frustrated because I was like, what am I even doing right now?
Yeah,
Like,
me too.
who are these
Understandably.
people? You get to know these two scientists called Dr. Eva Rosaline and Dr. Neil Watts, and Neil Watts is a big of an
My
of an
first
asshole.
note is I do not like Dr. Watts. He's an ass. That is the first note I took.
He is my favorite.
Of course he is, and I wonder why.
I relate to him so much.
Oh my god. And then yeah, like I think it was a bit hard for me to get into the controls
Yeah.
for sure, and it definitely felt like there was it feels as if there was an inside joke and I was not let in on
Right,
it. Like I was
definitely.
like, what is this even? Like, what are we doing? Why do we need a helmet? I don't get this.
Yeah.
And I think it really took me a good chunk of the game. I think it took until Act 3 maybe for me to
Yeah.
get into the game.
Me too.
I think it took a while, and I think at that point I think it took me a bit longer than it would have taken if you had played it off stream. But I think at that point I got to Act 3. I was a little bit frustrated with, like, sometimes the controls didn't work for me. They did work, but I couldn't work them. Just, the idiot always sits in front of the keyboard. But I think at that point I was just too distraught, so I just stopped for the day and picked the game up the next day for the final hour. And I'm so glad I did, because I don't think I would have had the same reaction. I would have not had allowed myself to have the same reaction, because it was gut wrenching. And I'm so glad I took a day, like I didn't play it in one sitting, but I
Yeah.
took some
I
time.
did the same
away
because
from
I
it.
know when I push myself and strain myself, I will not have the same like emotional
Yeah, it won't be
connection
enjoyable.
because I just want to move on. So I definitely, yeah, I played mine in 2 sittings too, just to make sure I wouldn't burn out, and I'm very happy I did that. Definitely did not cry on stream at some point.
Who even cries when they play To the Moon?
But you know what's interesting? When I did play To the Moon, I had a lot of different people, and so did you, Messenger, come in and be like, "Oh, I love this game. This game is
Yeah,
great,"
that
and
is
then they would just like
Yes.
disappear into a lurk.
Yeah. They would just sit back and relax and enjoy.
Yeah. To the Moon has such an amazing fan base. A lot of people have played it. Like, I bet your ass if you look at Twitch now, no one's streaming it. But if there is one person who's streaming it, everybody who's played this game, they're all gonna go in. They'll just be like, "This game is amazing," and they won't. They're not the toxic community. They won't spoil it because everybody wants you to
Yeah, they
experience it.
yeah.
I think
And they'll
they
be like,
like
"Yeah,
the
it's so
reaction.
amazing."
I
Yeah.
especially liked Messenger's reaction when she put it all together. It's kind of like one of those.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you get it?
I'm guilty of that because
Uh.
me and Amy were asking Kat, "Do you get it?
Do you get it? Do you understand?
Do you understand this? The gravity of this? Yeah, it's definitely yeah, I literally wanted to say the same, Cat. I had so many people come in and be like, "You're playing my favorite game right now. I love this game." And I never heard from them again the
Yeah.
entire stream. They were just lurking. I had some people come in and be like, "No, I have to work. I can't watch this. I'm gonna watch the VOD." I'm like, wow, I
Yeah.
rarely get people telling me I'm gonna watch the VOD,
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
not what people on Twitch do. But yeah, people really looked out for this, and I understand why it's so important to a lot of people. Maybe to give a bit of an intro to the first start of the game. So we're these two scientists, and you come to this house from Johnny Wilds, and Johnny wants to had this conversation earlier where he said that his last dying wish was he wants to go to the moon if he should be in a comatose state. So he's now in a comatose state, and they want to set it up so, like you said, that they can change the memories to make it seem as if he had gone to the moon in a way. What they do basically is put on those fancy new helmets, and they jump into his memories, and they check basically through the different stages of his life, starting when he's oldest to when the youngest accessible memory to them. And it is quite interesting, I would say. Like, they use certain memento overlaps, they call them, certain signifiers that have a lot of power in Johnny's mind. Like, we have pickled olives because he loves pickled olives. Well, we come to that later, but like there's a lot of different things that link the different ages together. So I would just like to know, just kicking this off here, what was the first sort of thing you remember that made you go, huh, I think there's something more here. Like, I think this is not just like your everyday memory something. But I think there's more hidden information here, and I want to get to the bottom of this.
For me, it was actually the constant, like his wife was constantly, River was constantly saying, oh, the rabbit, and what is this? And can you point me to stuff to the rabbit, where he ears his belly, and everybody was saying like, oh, she hasn't been like this, it's a new thing. And you're like, there's something off, something's not clicking. It wasn't like one specific memory for me. It was just that pattern that everybody was saying, but no one was saying what actually is with River, for the things to turn in the end. Then you're like, figure it out what's actually happening. That was for me at least.
Yeah, to like maybe explain to someone who hasn't played the game yet, when you first enter the house, so there's a caretaker living there with her two children, since Johnny cannot take care of himself anymore, and the two children kind of lead you through the house, and they show you to like a basement area where there's thousands or hundreds at least of folded paper rabbits, like origami rabbits. And then they also show you to the lighthouse, which is like a broken down lighthouse, where the top of the lighthouse is also littered with these folded paper bunnies. And like you said, we see, or we learn that in the memory flashbacks that Johnny's at that point, I think it was been 2 years or 5 years she had died prior to him. Wife had been making them, and it was referenced to be a weird sort of thing, and people didn't really like understand what it is. Even though I think there was another person there, Isabel, who hinted that could be due to River's quote unquote condition, if I remember correctly.
Condition that, and this is where I go back to saying it drags because you are not given, this is how little information you are given. So, there's a lighthouse, River has passed away, and I guess she had a condition, and it left her a little delulu, apparently. That's just what it comes off to be. And before, I would say, like, for me especially, I would agree it was definitely the rabbits. But before I found out it was the wife who was making the rabbits, I assumed it was Johnny making them because his wife loved them so much. And I assumed that the death was so much of a trauma for him that he just started making all these rabbits. But then that turned out to not be true. And then we're back at square one again, so it's just this constant, you're given some information, you assume an answer, you assumed wrong, they gotcha, we're back at square one again, and then we're gonna give you the right information.
Yeah. Just like, we fooled you.
Again, like just constant pick and choose. Just, you never know what you're gonna get.
I feel like that was kind of a plan as well, because they wanted to keep you interested. They make you think that you actually like realize what's happening, and then they just take it away because no. Gotta play it until the end to figure out what's happening in the game actually.
So Messenger, you mentioned these mementos that help us travel through Johnny's memory. Do you remember some of his off the top of your head?
Yes, so we have the jar of pickled olives. We have the platypus.
Right.
Stuffed platypus. Platypus animal, I would say. We have a tattered backpack, so like a school backpack. We have is that one? Was it like, I don't know if the Animorphs series was part
The
of
books?
Yeah, it was.
I think so. Yeah, the books.
Yeah. And then I want to say a football, like a soccer ball.
Yeah.
I think there were flowers.
Flowers, right?
The purple one, yeah. Bunny itself.
Oh, the bunny, right? That was
There was one bunny that was 2 different colors, and that one was an important one. So anyways, I'm just getting at that you have these different objects throughout your life that will always be important to you. Do you have at least maybe 3? Could you give me 3, both of you, of objects that are still very important to you? I can give you mine while you think of it, because I would say mine would be Mr. Manatee right now, which is like my stuffed platypus. He's a stuffed manatee, which is why one of the reasons I started crying at the game.
Aww.
I would say my glasses, the glasses I'm wearing, because they're literally with me everywhere I go, and have seen a lot of what I've seen throughout my life.
That's deep.
Smooth.
I would also say my like lanyard that all of my keys are on, because that goes with me everywhere too.
Oh,
Yeah, I think those would be my three.
that's nice. Do you have 3, Inna?
So the question is, are the 3 objects that we wear today 3 objects that
No,
today
just
are
like
important or throughout our life?
just throughout your life. It could
Could
be
just
anything,
be a
really.
part of your life too, right?
like-
Because some of them were only important for him for part of his life.
Right, yeah.
I also have my Stitch plush toy that I made my parents send me over to Ireland, and I got it when I was, I think, 13, and I was in Paris in Disneyland. That was one of the bigger trips that I ever did. So he's a great memory. He's still alive and thriving. He looks immaculate. Like I bought him yesterday. No one touches him. I have a necklace that I wear every day. Not at the moment, it's broken, but it has a pendant, a little angel from my mom, and another pendant that I actually bought to remind myself of like how far I've come. And the third one, oh my God, is there something that I will always carry? I don't know. I can't think of a third one at the moment. No, that means not much to me. My dog only.
That works.
Yeah. She's not an object, but she counts.
Yeah. I think for me, I also have a stuffed animal that I've had since birth. It's a toucan
Oh,
named Tookie.
Oh.
I love that. Oh my god.
And then I want to think if there was things that were like important to me during a time in my life, like maybe during my teenhood, there was something that was like keeping it together, so to say. I want to say my first digital camera that I ever had, because that one went with me like lots of places, and it was very important for me to have that. Like I know, like I felt weird if I traveled somewhere and I didn't have that. I think that is one. And then as of my third thing, my Sims 2 4 CD
Oh my
ROM
God.
set. I think that would be one.
Oh my God, yes.
It's a
Sims.
constant.
Now I'm thinking
I
like
still have it. I have it
Yeah.
like right here. Hold up.
We're all 3 simmers. Oh my God, I have
oh
that
my
somewhere
god,
back at home
iconic.
in
I have that
Croatia.
too at home.
Oh,
Oh my
it's like the
god,
four
dude!
CDs.
How much is that worth? You have to see how much that is worth if you were to sell that.
Nothing.
No,
Absolutely nothing.
I feel like it's worth something.
no.
It's for
I'll
the
also never sell it
memories.
because I still play it. Like
True.
I have if you don't know it, I have a guide online on how to install The Sims 2 on your Windows 10.
I need to do that again because I did do that, but then it broke. I don't.
Well, youtube.com/the little messenger. So
Yeah. But Sims, now that you mention it, it was a big part. I played Sims since the first came out, and I remember I was a lot in hospital when I was growing up. And every time we went to hospital, I made my mom to go to the store that sold games, and I always checked for Sims. That was my happy memory as well.
oh, that's so nice.
Definitely, I grew
Yeah.
up on Sims 2. That was one thing my sister and I did together a lot was play Sims. Not at our house though. We had a family friend that had the computer to run it, so that was like a treat to go over to their house, and I knew I was gonna get to play. I was gonna get McDonald's. I was gonna get to play Sims, and I was gonna go to the pool. That was what happened at that house, and it was. Those are probably the best childhood memories there.
That's amazing.
Sims 2, swimming, and McDonald's.
Well, that's funny. So with for
Yeah.
each of us, you could actually take, so if you would hypothetically, if this company would exist,
Hmm.
Sims.
Yeah. Oh my God. For us, would they put us in sim simulation if we were dying? Just be there with Bella God next to our bed, holding our hand. It's
I
all
was
gonna be
more of a
okay.
nervous test subject kind of
Oh
girl.
yeah, I remember him. I saw lore about him on YouTube. Look into that. It's creepy.
I love the lore.
Oh,
Sims 2
Sims
lore is
lore.
It
Oh
so
my
goes
good.
God.
deep.
Ugh.
Yeah, people get
There's
Yeah.
shocked
not,
when you said there's lore in Sims.
so there will never be another game like Sims 2. And Sims
No.
2 captures the early 2000s perfectly. Like that
Yeah.
game is a time capsule. The low cut jeans, everything.
Yep. I love it.
Love
So
it.
yeah, that was I like that question a lot, Kat. I love that.
I
That
try.
was so nice. Awesome. Yeah. So the thing is, right, with this, like you had explained, Anna, so they want to implement a memory into his earliest memories. So the outcome is that I'm gonna call it the memory Johnny at the end changes his life in a way that he goes to the moon, right? So that's what they want to do because that's what he wants to remember. And they try that. They go back to his teenage self, right? They go through all these different stages. They try to implement memories in a they do it in such a weird, like they play a movie but it's not really a good movie that says to the moon. They have this weird assembly at school that Dr. Watts holds.
Right. From my understanding while playing, I got a tad confused because we weren't literally changing his memories.
Well, we are changing his memories but not his life.
Right. Like we weren't changing anything that happened literally. It was more
Yes.
Yeah.
of a form of, yeah, changing the memory, almost kind of like gaslighting, I want to say. That's how I took it. I mean, really, and I wanted to ask if this is okay to, sorry to cut you off. Is changing the memory a form of gaslighting yourself or dissociating from the true memory in order to make your end of life happy?
Depends. I always say, like, if you ask for it to happen, then not so much. Because you ask for it. If someone does it without telling you or tries to, like, kind of tell you, oh, but you wanted it and things like that, then yes. But if you plain out ask for it, then I think you're just doing something for yourself, if
True.
that makes sense.
Yeah. I just
No
had
one
a
is
hard time
forcing
wrapping
you.
my head around it's just inside of his head. We're not actually changing the past, present, or future. Like I was getting too sci-fi into it.
Yeah, I relate to that. I think I also had to stop myself sometimes and be like, wait, hold on. Hold on. This is just in a brain, which doesn't make it any less real,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Which is a really cool thing.
because isn't our past at this point nothing but memory? So,
Yup,
Yes.
very much so.
And how everybody remembers something is different. So what even is the true
Yes.
past?
yeah, because even us three tomorrow, we will all have the same memories of this thing. So,
We will all have the same memory, but a different
Yeah, and we're all gonna interpret it.
different perspective of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they try it, it doesn't work. And please stop me if I'm going too fast. I just wanted to kind of wrap the story real quick. What they find out is that something has happened in Johnny's early memories that led him to cut them off. So basically, they're saying that Johnny, as a kid, was given beta blockers, even though he didn't have a heart condition, and that can like make you forget, apparently, which I had no idea about. They make it into the memory through some turbulences, and they find out that there wasn't just Johnny, but there was also Joey, Johnny's twin brother. And when Johnny and Joey were pretty young, or Johnny and Joey's mom reversed the car onto Joey and effectively killed Joey, which is probably why Johnny was given beta blockers so he wouldn't remember his own brother being dead.
He wouldn't remember his brother being alive.
Yeah.
Or that he had a brother.
Yeah.
And his mother pretty much, doesn't she call him Joey from now on?
Yeah, she keeps calling him Joey.
She replaces John, who's still alive, with Joey, the twin she accidentally killed.
And she tells him that she calls him Joey because of his grandfather.
Yeah. Which we learn, I think there's one memory before, which I think is the most important one. Like, to me, this is the key memory. So there's one memory before Joey gets hit by the car, which is them going to a fair and having a grand old time, in which we see that the mom favors Joey. So Joey gets a special toy and Johnny doesn't, and Johnny complains about this as if this is like a repetitive thing. And because everything gets a bit too much for Johnny, he decides to venture out and go maybe more close to like a cliff where you can see the stars better, and he's surprised by someone.
Spoilers.
Yeah, this is a full spoiler thing.
No, that was the first part of the game where it actually like things started to click and where it hit in my heart, and when I cried, that was like I couldn't handle it, but it was such a turning point in the game and in the entire story. I love that. Every time someone plays and the scenes come up and the song starts playing, my tears start rolling instantly.
No.
Such a beautiful
Do you want to
scene.
give away who comes and visits Johnny at the place?
I can. So, to those who haven't played the game, it's a spoiler alert. So we see River. River comes in because she calls it her spot where she goes when she finds everything too much. And it is the moment, as I said, like where we start connecting things because it is the first time they ever meet. And they look at the stars, and she calls them the lighthouses. And she says that one day she's going to make one lighthouse her best friend. And then as well, they look at the moon and she says, can you see the rabbit? Can you point his ears? Can you point his tummy? And then before he leaves, she's like, are we going to meet here the next year, same time, same place? And how do we know that you're going to be here? Because she said she's going to wait for him. And then he gives her the little platypus toy that he won earlier that day. He didn't actually like it at the start, but he gave it to her. So basically, it was the first turning point where they meet, and we kind of find out that's why, because she realized later on next year that he doesn't remember her or that they met or anything. And her throughout the entire time when she was asking him, even when they got older, can you show me the butt, like the belly, the ears? She was trying to actually get him to remember that first day when they actually met. And it's actually heartbreaking because he never did. And she died trying, but he never did remember. And I cried. Like now I feel like crying as well, just remembering the entire scene. I didn't click it at the start, but it was heartbreaking.
It really is. I think the key phrase for me was like when she said, and he was like, what if we don't remember? And she just says, oh, we'll just regroup at the moon. And I was like, oh my God.
That was the quote that got me when they were discussing, like, well, what if we, like, miss each other? Like, what if, like, we don't find each other? And one goes, well, we can always regroup on the moon, can't we? And that got me. I am like a person. Hold on, give me a second.
It's okay.
Especially in my relationship where a memento like a stuffed animal means a lot because just with my condition and everything, my little, like, my manatee goes in the microwave.
Aw.
So usually when I have an episode and I'm dissociated, autopilot me asks for that. Like that's my comfort thing. So just the moment when he gave her the platypus and then said that we'll regroup on the moon, that emotional connection that I feel felt really seen.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know other people feel that too, because I think it sucks if you don't feel that. Like that's a type of love I think everyone needs to feel.
Yeah.
Even not even like, it doesn't even have to be like a romantic relationship, just even like a friendship that's like that. I've had
It
so
is.
many friendships, like
It is. No, I understand it. Yeah.
they're beautiful. Just like you guys.
Aw.
Now we're all crying. Now we're all stupid and we're crying.
We are actually. Because for me, it also like when you said makes you feel seen, because I kind of in a way related to Johnny as well. This what I'm about to say doesn't mean that I'm saying my parents don't love me or anything. Same as like Johnny's mom didn't like him, but parents do tend to have favorites. So I kind of related to Johnny in a way because I wasn't the favorite either out of three. So my mom had her favorite, my dad had his favorite. I was just there. And when Kat said, like, if you have something, you feel like something happens and there's someone who actually, like makes you feel seen after not being the important or priority for a while, it does feel really nice. And it's kind of sad that a lot of people have to be in that position that you feel that no one cares about you, no one sees you, but it's just I don't know how to say it.
I actually have I have a quote that Isabella said to Neil.
Wasn't that Isabella talking to Johnny? I think
Was it Johnny?
Yeah, I think it was in a memory. She was talking to Johnny because he was talking about his wife, and then Isabella was like, "You neurotypicals," and I gasped.
Oh,
I was like,
okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah. She said, "I really dislike when you neurotypicals think you know what's best for others."
Oh yeah, that is so true. But she had a point. Because neurotypicals do see and experience the world in a completely different way than we do.
For sure.
So they wouldn't understand what it is. To them, it's so simple, but to us, it's not. Same as like everyday tasks.
yeah. So I think we're all like all of us on different
Spicy.
ways are on the neurodivergent
Yes.
spectrum.
Right, yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'll call my boyfriend out again and say 4 years ago, early in our relationship, he was definitely more, he didn't understand depression as much. He has like ADHD and he understands all of that, but when it comes to depression, he's talked to me about how he's never really known, or he didn't know he's known people with depression, or just didn't know the severity of it. I was his first like in look to scary things, like dark things. And that was a big eye opener for him, and he's told me that. And I think looking at the start of our relationship, I remember there were points where he kind of told me like, "Oh, I don't need medication. I can fight it by like working out, changing my diet, like thinking like
Yeah,
what
the typical
neurotypicals
smile more.
say."
Mm.
And I try to explain like, I don't like that doesn't really work for me. Like that's not what it is. And I mean, it push and pull. He's eventually learned, and he's no longer like that. He thinks medication's great. It's helps me. I'm a lot better. I'm doing great. But yeah, it's definitely it's I do dislike it when neurotypicals think they know what's best without trying to understand the individual first.
That is so true.
It's just frustrating.
It is. They, a lot of time, especially when it comes to anxiety, they don't understand what it is actually. I will never forget this one person when he asked me, like, how am I and all that. And I was like, I'm having my bad anxiety moment. It's just not good. And then I will never forget, he told me, like, oh, I had an anxiety a couple of months ago for a week and it passed. And I was like, you were just nervous. Like, anxiety doesn't happen for a week and goes away. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
That's like me. I know I have such anxiety when I drive, but it's more of my anxiety is more just the anticipation of doing it. Once I actually start doing it, I'm completely fine. I don't feel anxiety anymore. I don't know
Okay.
if anybody else is similar. I know it can be like,
In some moments, yes, I have different triggers for anxiety. I've been working on myself for the last couple few years, so I kind of noticed which are my exact sources and triggers, but just
Mm.
depends. Sometimes some of the things would cause me anxiety, and then when I start doing them, it will slowly kind of fade away. Sometimes it won't. But it is the entire point of anxiety is you're already worrying about the future. So that's why I feel like maybe when you start doing it, it goes away because your brain kind of realizes, okay, this is not as bad as I
right.
thought it is. So it becomes easier.
Mm.
It's like the thought of driving like scares me and I don't want to do it, but like the moment I sit down in my car and I turn on my car, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm fine. I've done this. It's like riding a bike. I've done this
Mm.
Yeah.
for so many years."
I think that's, yeah. I think so. Just to come back to that one quote with the you're neurotypical. So
Mhm.
because I know this game is turned 2011, and in 2011 I had no idea about the terms neurodivergent or neurotypical, and I
Mm.
don't think that's a thing that was in many people's brains.
It's a
I
good
think that
point.
was it's more recent development.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
for me it definitely came with the rise of TikTok, because TikTok led me to actually get myself out, got my ADHD or ADD now diagnosis, and
Mm.
um, I know this is a case for multiple people, and I'm definitely not alone in this. So, hearing this in a game from 2011, I took a little bit of a moment, but I think looking back, that was definitely a big like opener for me, for my brain. I was like, the people have been like, how did I know? Why
Yeah.
did nobody tell me?
Yeah.
Because it was frowned upon back then.
Yeah, it
Honestly, it
was.
was taboo. It was it was you have to be locked up in a mental asylum, but our ideas of mental asylums were what we know from movies where, from like Split or something, it's not
Yeah.
at all
Oh
accurate.
yeah.
And I'm personally from Croatia. It's on Balkans. So a lot of people at that time, like no one talked about it. Like they all grew up, my parents and their parents and their parents, they all grew up with like if you have something happening, they will either bottle it up and it ended up being, like as domestic violence, unfortunately, alcoholism and things like that. So they
Yeah.
weren't even aware that they were doing something. And I think thanks to internet, people are becoming more aware about mental health and how to deal with it and everything. So we are more open, but in some parts of the world, it's still not. Even now in 2023, I can guarantee you, if you go to Croatia, a good number of people would still be like, "Oh, you're going to therapy" or something like that. It's still like a taboo and like quote unquote shameful thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
it's
when
Yeah.
weird to it's
mm,
Yeah.
weird that that's like I don't know, I've just been so exposed to people in my life recently that are so accepting of all of those things that
yeah.
it's weird to come across somebody who isn't, I don't know, body positive or isn't um like inclusive in any way, just who makes like little
Mm-hmm.
side comments that are like about someone's hair color or just like
Yeah.
I don't want to say like just like boomer comments, just
Yeah, that
type
is
things
true.
where it's just kind of like, are we really still talking? Like, are we still body shaming people in
Yeah.
2023?
Yeah.
Really? Like, are we still making fun of people
Yeah.
for going to therapy? Like, what is happening? Like, what
Like,
in the
are we still
world?
using mental like disorders as a slur? Like,
Yeah.
is that still a thing? But apparently, yeah, people still. Maybe, however, I think, and that's a good thing. Like recently, people have been a bit more educated, even if they don't want to be. They have at least heard it once or twice.
Yeah.
People being like, maybe you shouldn't
You would hope,
use
yeah.
that term, and then they're like, oh, they want to forbid how I speak. It's like, no, that's not the case. You can still say it, but you have to live with the repercussions of
Yeah.
you saying that, and they're not going to be nice to you, which is correct as a thing. But yeah, I was just the term neurotypical for me. I was like, I like literally had to check that this game was from 2011 because even that short, like 12 years ago, the world was completely different still,
Yeah.
I
It
would say.
was.
Yeah.
It's just evolved from now on. So that made me super happy. And I think later on, I think they're visiting a doctor, and I think the doctor says something about delayed development, like childhood development disorder, which I think is implied to be ASD, I mean, so autism spectrum disorder.
Yeah, I was mentioning a couple of times on my stream, a good and a bad thing. My sister is she has her master's in psychology and she has lots of experience. It's a plus and a minus because of course due to everything she can't, like diagnose me or anything, which is obviously I understand it, but at the same time she can kind of, give me nudges. So when I was when I told her I want to start therapy and all, she kind of gave me a nudge where to go, what to look for.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah. So I do want to get diagnosed so I can actually know what's wrong.
I think while it it's never like people ask me to like, why do you want to get diagnosed? Why is that so important to you? And I think, yeah, it doesn't change anything. However,
How you
it
cope.
for me felt very validating to know that I'm not just a lazy bum
Yeah.
who has no idea how to work things, and I can actually
Yeah, mental clarification is just as important.
yeah, and I'm now able to actually get direct help for myself. I got on medications that actually help me, and my therapist is looking specifically for resources that help me now, and I can also look for resources easier because now I know, okay, what do I have to
Yeah.
look for? Why no, if someone like says, okay, you need to do these and these and these tasks, like for instance, I'm just real quick, I'm joining a new D&D campaign and they have lots of notes because this campaign already exists, but they recently had 2 players leave, so I'm joining them. And they have like a 20-page Google Doc, and one of the other people was like, oh, they should read it. And my friend who is the DM, who also has ADHD, so autism spectrum and ADHD, he was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And I was like, I don't think I should read this because there will be no instant gratification of me reading this. I would never get through this. But like a couple years back, I would have forced myself to stick through this and kind of endure it and maybe lost so much mental energy over it. Whereas now I can say, we need to find a different solution. And I think that's definitely the empowerment through
It
a
is.
diagnosis that you can have.
It makes you understand like who you are. Why does your your brain work in a different way than other people? It makes you understand, how to live your life easier. Because I learned to deal with anxiety myself. Unfortunately, wasn't financially able to go to therapy. Still, maybe not. I'm not, but it made me understand. Like when you're feeling anxious and things like you mentioned earlier, people would say, "Oh, go work out." But I noticed that for me, if I go to work out, if I push myself, I will only mentally get worse. My anxiety would get worse. I would feel worse rather than better. For some people, it may help. For example, neurotypical, for them, it might help just to go out and, feel the fresh air, enjoy the sun, enjoy the walk. It will get everything working. But for me, it's opposite. It's extra work, extra strain. It just makes me even more anxious. So I would rather sit out, wait for it to pass, cope the ways I know that works rather than pushing myself doing something other people tell me it should work.
Oh yeah, totally.
So I have another question
Yeah.
on topic because upon River getting sick, John says I'd rather not when it comes to learning about his wife's condition.
Right.
And I want to ask, have you ever kept yourself in the dark because you were either scared of what you might learn? And this could be about anything, if it's a partner's condition or I don't know. Has there ever been a time where you rather just not know the answer?
No, and I think that will be the end of me one day because I'm way too curious. I have to know why, how, when, all the steps, everything behind it, and I need to because the not knowing is what's going to bother me even more. So I would rather know if it's good or bad or whatever it is rather than not know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I think, well, okay, so just for the context of the game, right? I don't think Ritter, like, that is the point that Ritter gets sick. It's just, I think, a checkup, and they were, like, I think some flags came up and they diagnosed her. I think she gets, like, physically sick later on, right? Which
Correct.
leads to her death. But she's always been she was always been on the ASD, like ASD spectrum. She's always had ASD, right? And I think I have to, like, I'm the same in I maybe I sometimes know too much that is for my own good.
Yeah.
And I think that comes, like, I think that also comes with it. Like, for instance, the week before I got fired, I already knew, because I could read between the lines of the very curt and short email my boss sent me about wanting to have a talk. And I told my other coworkers, I'm like, I'm getting fired. And like, no, totally not. I'm like, I know this because I researched this and this and this, and I know this is going to be the case. And the problem becomes, and I don't know if you can relate to this, I sometimes research too much, which leads me to always expect the worst possible
Yeah.
outcome for
The
things.
exact same.
And I won't even
Same.
start looking into the positive. I will just keep spiraling down the negative, which
Oh, yeah.
every once in a while, of course, this is gonna be affirmed to me, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna, like, I always, like, it's not like I have a sense to see the future, but like my brain wants me to believe that I can totally see what's gonna happen. In the end, it just leads to me spiraling out of control and having intense anxiety. But yeah, so that's something I'm working on right now. I wonder if you guys feel the same.
No, I do the same thing, and that's why. I mean, if you asked me last year or 2 years ago, I would have given the same answer you guys had, saying like, "Oh, I need to know immediately. I'm gonna find it out," and all of that. But because I spiral so much, and because I go to the worst possible scenario, I keep myself in the dark. I'd rather not know. I try not to know,
Mm.
because I think a part of me already knows, and
Mm-hmm.
and if I think I already know, then it happened, and then if I turn out to be wrong, then it's a blessing in disguise. So I always try to keep myself in the dark to an extent. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's an unhealthy and then there's a healthy extent.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to my significant others, like conditions or experiences, think it's kind of I don't want to say it's difficult. I don't want to say it's my responsibility to know, but I feel like I do have some sort of responsibility for that. I don't know if just trying to think about like my own self and my condition.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume why it feels like he does have some sort of responsibility for me. Like if I were to go out alone, I would hope he would have his like phone on him and he would make sure to like check it.
Mm-hmm.
Um and just kind of that stuff. I wouldn't want to be kept in the dark about, of course, but
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's really, like, I think um uh if you know that that's your reaction, I think that's really smart. Because I've been able to, like, I've been fortunate enough to be, recently I've gone to rehab and I've worked on myself extensively, especially this past year. Like, I've done so much mental health stuff work. It's bizarre. My brain is still, it's definitely not the same than it was like a year ago. I think some things have changed. And I had a thing recently where basically, oh yeah, I applied, so I have a insurance that is basically a I can't do this job anymore insurance, and you need to pay me because I can't do this job anymore insurance. It's like a private insurance thing that I pay voluntarily. And because I can't do my job anymore, I applied for it. I was like, hey, I need a payout. And they accused me of falsifying my documents in 2014. They accused me of not telling them the whole truth about my conditions back then. And they gave me 3 points that I apparently hadn't listed. And my first response was utter brain chaos. I typed a letter, like an email back real quick, and I didn't really think about it. And there's so many typos in that letter. You can definitely see my stress in it. And it was like, no, this is that, and this is that. Like, this doesn't apply, this and this. And then I went, because for me, this does work because my brain is differently structured. So movement is definitely a good thing for me. So I did take myself to the gym, which is a very responsible thing to do. And then I called my mom, which maybe not have been the great thing because my mom is a horrible overthinker. So I called my mom and I told her everything, and she's like, oh, please don't send that. I was like, oh, I already sent that. Mom, I already sent that email. Thanks for telling me not to send it. This doesn't help right now. And we kind of spiraled together, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then I did the workout and it was better, and I actually managed to sleep that night. And I called the woman from that insurance agency the next day, and she told me what document, like I told her the entire thing. And she's like, okay, no worries, awesome. Please write everything that you just told me into detailed notes and sign the paper and send it to me as a scan. And I did that, and I managed to keep calm, and I managed to not think about this too much anymore. And then the day before yesterday, I got a call that they are retracting their statement.
Oh, good. Okay, so it worked out.
And that I should hear from them next week. So that was one of those cases where my first instinct was to overthink, to stumble over myself. And then I think this is where my work came in from the last year. It kicked in, and I was like, okay, I know sport works with me, with my brain. So I'm going to do that now. I shouldn't have called my mom. Mom, I love you, but not the most helpful person in this instant. And then I managed to have some sleep. I managed to collect myself. I called the person the next day. I problem solved. I sent it off. And then I was like, okay, now it's not in my hands anymore. I can actually lean back. And I didn't research what to do. I didn't research lawyers. I didn't. I stopped myself. I did that the day before because I was spiraling. But I didn't do it after I've done that, and I was able to step back, and I think that's like definitely a big step. So you can applaud me. Thank you.
For sure.
I just wanted to share because I think that was on topic for.
I relate to that
question.
because 2 years ago, if something happened like that, I would also just like say instantly what's on my mind and send them all sorts kind of messages. But I learned just to stop myself, think about it, relax, not do anything irrationally, I mean. And then when I'm calmed down, when I actually like relax and think about it with a different lens, then I'm like, okay, let's respond now.
I just think about I would have deleted it and act like it never happened and then waited for another email, I think is what I would have done.
Slow how we all have different reaction.
Hey, at least like there's one thing about doing it, but there's another thing about knowing that you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
like
true.
That's definitely a thing. So you telling us, which means you're definitely telling your local support surround system so they can keep an eye out with you. And you also saying that means you also in the back of your brain you have like this little watch person going,
I just want to say, yeah, autopilot cat, she knows what's up. Sometimes she's kind of a bitch, but she knows what's up half the time. I don't know.
That's great.
She helps out.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just to come back to the game, I will say, however, in the case of River being diagnosed with, I'm just going to say diagnosed with ASD because I think that's what is definitely implied. River being diagnosed with ASD.
Definitely, yeah.
Because also I think it was interesting that, and I think that definitely implies, is that Johnny says he found it weird that a woman has it. Because he's usually only seen men. Or is it Johnny or was it the friend? It might have been Johnny's friend.
I think it was
I see.
Isabel.
It was Johnny's.
Nicholas? Sorry.
Nicholas, because Isabel also says she has ISD,
Yeah.
but she has been diagnosed in childhood, which means they kind of gave her lots of therapy to cope with it better. So she says, oh my God, yeah, not to take this away Yeah.
No, it's very known that autism is less diagnosable in women
Yeah.
because they've studied the male brain,
Yes.
not the female brain. So it's less diagnosed in women because they miss it a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of a hint at that too, which I think is very
Aware?
modern.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
just very like, yeah, it's very like I don't remember people talking about that in 2011, like you said.
Yeah.
Like
They
that wasn't a
hadn't. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. What I will say, because you said Johnny is gonna be like, I don't want to know. I just don't want to know about what her uh like disorder entails. And I think I hated that he did that, because I feel like if he learned a little bit more, he wouldn't have chalked. So what he I think he misunderstood um like disorder versus river, if that makes sense. So he let himself to see her making rabbits as just a quirky thing that people with that disorder do, instead of understanding how River sees the world, and then being able to communicate with her through that, because she was communicating. He was not understanding it as a communication, he was seeing it as a symptom. And I think that's what really annoyed me with him, because I was like, you had the chance to learn more about your wife and how she sees the world, and you chose not to, which is, I guess he thought he would only then see the disorder, quote unquote, or
Mm-hmm.
not River, but
Yeah.
he doesn't understand the good possibility of being able to communicate on a different level, and without having River to jump through hoops, because she was saying so much and she was showing it, and you just did not
Yeah, he
fucking get
didn't
it.
understand. And I felt that heavily being someone who, I don't want to say I talk in like rhymes or I guess I talk in expression. Like I'm better
One of
at,
us talks in riddles, one of us talks in
right.
rhymes.
Like I like, I'm bad at physically showing emotion sometimes. I think I have a resting bitch face and I'm very stagnant most of the time. And I don't realize I'm like that. But, you know, I look in videos and I think I'm laughing so hard and I look at it and I'm just kind of like, huh. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I
That's
swear
so
I thought I was
relatable.
smiling so much more than that. But looking back at the footage, I look so mad. And I'm like, I swear I'm not that upset.
Yeah. But I think with Johnny as well, saying had that he would rather not know could be also just the fear of something new, something you don't understand, which is a typical fear amongst human beings.
Yeah.
So, I think he was just scared of understanding.
Oh, for sure.
Like he didn't mean maliciously, he doesn't want to know because he doesn't care. He was just scared to
Oh,
know
yeah.
what will happen.
No, for sure. I was definitely not implying that, but it did make me very
Yeah.
frustrated in a sense, because I could just feel River's frustration with the whole situation, and I think I was just sort of excited to have someone, like, to have River in the game. And you can definitely tell that the game's from Johnny's perspective, because you, like, there is some sort of, like, because it's his memories, he doesn't understand. And it is sort of, I feel like sometimes River's actions, especially in the first time we get to see them, they're portrayed as, I guess, erratic, and
Rude.
they don't make sense. Yeah. But then when you actually see that one core memory that we talked about a little while ago, with them meeting for the very first time, so much sense.
Or like another one that made sense to me was when they were at the movie theater. Because in River's mind, they were watching the movie together. And this is when I kind of understood her condition, you know? Because
Yes. Yeah.
they went on a movie date together, and Johnny was under the impression that River stood him up because they were not sitting together. However, River was in the movie theater with him, and they were watching the movie, and she was under the impression that that was totally normal, that was fine, because like they were watching the movie together. They just weren't sitting together. And Johnny wanted to sit together and watch the movie. So then they had a little misunderstanding. They met in the hallway of the movie theater, and then they talk it out, and then they head back in and they sit together and watch the movie.
Just the importance of communication.
And that was, yeah,
Doing
it was, well, and then it also gave insight to River, and I was like, okay, I understand what River's about now, because
Yeah.
I have friends like that, and I get it. I totally get it.
I was about to say, I think sometimes like that. It's just like straightforward, not overthinking, and then I realize other people may not think that way, and I'm like, oh, okay. Let's talk about
Yeah.
this.
The literal thinking,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Because
Yeah.
I'll give my personal example that I had recently. So I did something that I don't do usually. I asked someone on a date, and they said yes. And then we haven't talked in a while, and in my head was like, they're not interested anymore, and we haven't talked. And then I messaged them, and he was like, but I said yes. Why did you think, that it's not happening? I was like, because we're not talking. There's nothing happening. So in his mind, it's happening. It's all, something he's looking forward. But while in my head, it was like completely different story. I was like, I'm not sure what's happening, So we talked about it. So it is settled, it's just, as I said, we all see the world different. The same situation, just different eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if it's, I think this is something like, especially like thinking about the game in the end, which became more clear to me. I don't know if I can sum up the ending real quick.
Yeah, go.
That's all right with you guys?
Yeah.
All right. So in the end, the only thing that the two sciences come up with, especially, what is it, Eva, right? Rosaline.
Love her, mommy.
Oh, I love her so
So
much.
do I. She's amazing. Snaps to her.
Neil.
The only way to get him to the moon is if he forgets, like if he, except for that very first time that they meet, has no other recollection of River. So she keeps Joey alive so that he never has to take the beta blockers, so that he would remember the to the moon thing, which, to be fair, in his credit, he did remember, because that was his dying wish. So something in him was so strong that it did remember this. And she keeps the two twins alive, and it does so happen that while Joey becomes a writer, as he had always wanted to be in childhood, Johnny becomes an astronaut. He goes to NASA, and they prepare him for this first mission. They like say hello, like, new cadet, and then they are like, oh, and there's another new cadet starting today. And while at first you're really sad because, like, Eva deleted basically River from Johnny's entire memory, and
You watch this whole montage of the scenes that you and River did together, like dates and just pretty much the whole gameplay. You watch River disappear from those scenes and get replaced with his brother Joey. So it's kind of this heart-wrenching, heartwarming, wholesome moment of he gets to keep his
Right.
twin alive, but like his wife, the person that, he's on his death, like the whole reason we're here, like it's
Exactly,
a
the whole
whiplash
reason-
of emotions. It's
the whole
hard.
reason he wants to go to the moon
Right.
is suddenly gone, and Neil, like the other scientist, gets very agitated about this, but Eva has a plan. And it does work. So when he finally goes to NASA and he has his first day, the other new cadet, space cadet, works in, and it is River. And I was already bawling my eyes
Yeah.
out before, like I knew,
Yeah.
because Eva was like, oh, like looking around, making comments. I was like, I know what she does. I know what she's doing. Because they said they would meet at the moon. So I know what she's doing. I know this. And it did work out. And at the very end, they have their mission together, and they You can see them in the space shuttle, and they're seeing the moon come closer, and they're holding hands, just as Johnny flatlines in real life. And that is
Yeah.
the beautiful end of the
I
game.
would also like to note real fast that at the beginning of the game, the two children that live at the house with the caretaker's children, they're playing a song on the piano written by Johnny called For River. And at the end of the game, that same song is played, but the name changes because River's alive. The name changes to the Moon, and it's the same tune, just the name is different. And that got me too. That was, yeah, Messenger's crying again. Yep, it got
I
me.
am as well. Don't worry.
That just little stuff like that is so powerful to me. And
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
take notes, Devs. Hello, take notes.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
need
just-
much. You
yeah,
just
the
need
ending.
a good story.
I agree with Messenger. The ending, and like you just hear the heartbeats. There's no other sound, nothing else, just heartbeats. River and Johnny together holding hands, and the moment they got to the moon holding hands, the flat line, and then the silence. That is like I just started crying right there. Like when the silence hit, I was like, I'm not able to handle this.
Yeah, it's tough. It's rough.
Yeah.
And it made me very existential about my life and growing up and my relationships with different people and my relationship with Wyatt and growing old. And I know Messenger, you're about to get married, and it's just like memories are being made, y'all.
4.5 weeks.
Oh my god.
God.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That is so close, dude. You just blew my fucking mind. Holy shit. Gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I feel like the tragic thing for me was that I felt like, especially looking back on the memories, that Johnny has always been chasing what was right in front of him.
Yeah.
He never realized that what he was chasing, what he was wanting, was right there his entire time. And I think that really makes me tear up, because how sad, how tragic that he always had something in the back of his mind about this girl that meant so much to him, that he met on that very important day for him, when the world was still whole for him, when he still had his twin and made that pact with, that even through all the beta blockers that he took to get rid of his memories, his childhood memories, stuck with him, that in his dying wish he wanted to go to the moon to finally meet River, while River was there all
the time,
along.
yeah.
And he couldn't see it. And that makes me very emotional. I'm just
Yeah.
like, it makes me so sad for them, because they could have been so happy, but they didn't see. They didn't see what was right in front of them.
I think that's a big problem amongst a lot of people. We think that
Yeah.
we're looking for something while that thing is right in front of our eyes, and a lot of time we just miss it.
Exactly what Inna said, because it's like you can interpret that scene in so many different ways for so many different people, and that's why I think it's perfect, because everybody's done that.
Yeah.
Oh, what a game.
Emotional.
It's an amazing game. And I think it was the one person who came up with the entire plot. So props to him. That man he deserves every award. I don't know if he ever got any for To the Moon, but he deserves every single award for making entire.
Has great ratings.
Yeah. Every person who played it cried. If you haven't cried while playing To the Moon, there's something wrong with you. You don't
Or
have
you
a heart.
you skipped all the dialogue.
Yeah.
You skipped all the dialogue. If you didn't
Maybe.
cry.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. Do you have any before? I think we were coming close towards our final ratings. Before we get to that, do you have any like remarks that you want to get out? Anything that's like burning on your tongue that you need to get out about the game?
If you thought that this made you cry? Wait until we play the third one that ties up all three games.
Oh my god. I did buy all of them. I bought the bundle.
Oh, you did?
So I will definitely play them. Yeah. It's on the cards for sure. Cat, any?
No, other than thank you, Inna. I really enjoyed this game, and I don't think without you, I don't think I would have ever checked it out, to be completely honest.
Yes.
Had no idea of its existence, its
Mm.
plot, or anything of the sort, and thoroughly impressed. So thank you. Round of applause for Inna.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy to share the love about the game, and now you can do as well.
Hell yeah.
You're part of the Secret to the Moon Club.
Right, to sum this all up, let's jump into our final ratings, and I think they're going to be very interesting. So, I think this is I would assume, or I would say this is especially tailored towards River and to some sort of also Isabel. How are characters with mental health disorders portrayed?
I think they're portrayed very, let's say, not humanly, but what you would expect from every day, as we talked with Johnny.
Yeah, I was gonna say realistically.
Yeah, about Johnny not wanting to know about her, like condition and all that. So it wasn't glorifying anything, it was demonizing everything. It was showing how it actually is and how people do actually react and, when it comes to the mental illnesses and mental health.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely some viewing the neurodivergent through a neurotypical lens, but it gets called out by the
Yeah.
game itself. Like, right, Isabel calls it out herself. So I think that definitely makes I would say I guess we are kind of predestined to look a bit deeper and to actually see what's behind this and to see how River communicates versus maybe a neurotypical person wouldn't pick up on that right away. But I
sure.
would say because the game actually calls it out and it's like, you neurotypicals, actually makes you, hopefully, even a neurotypical person playing this game, think like, maybe there's
Like,
more.
take a moment, have some self-reflection.
Yeah, that is true. Makes you think.
Yeah. Which also I would tie into the next question, like, are the characters who suffer from mental health disorders the villains? Like, definitely not.
No, absolutely not.
All right. And then the next one is about stereotyping. So how much is I would say that I guess River and Isabel stereotyped into.
They're stereotyped as like quirky, which I think
Not in a bad way, quirky.
no, not in a bad way at
Yeah.
all, but it's almost like people around her use it as an insult. I don't want to say I don't even know if insult's the right word, but just kind of something like, oh yeah, she's, side eye.
Oh yeah, let her do her own thing,
And I think I've seen that mostly in movies where that's done, just to show that they're not like the other girls, or that's the only thing I can really say that it's a stereotype, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily negative completely.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any
think
sense.
the more like with when it comes to Isabel, how she kind of not treated River, but she acted in a way that you would expect people nowadays when someone does something because of their like condition or something, and people would be like, just let them do their thing, whatever. People ignore it rather than just like try to understand why. I think that's more of a
Yeah.
stereotypical than like every character having something stereotypical.
Yeah, I would also say I think that's why I don't think the game just puts I think that's also why the game avoids the term ASD, kind of calling something like childhood developmental issues, like delayed developmental issues, which I guess I like, because I think a lot of the times when people hear ASD, they have a very specific stereotype in mind. Like, think Mary Ziegler portraying a person with autism in that one movie, like that, or that Sia music video. I don't know, it was
Maddie
something
Ziegler?
to do with that. Oh, Maddie Ziegler, that's her
dancer,
name.
yeah.
So that's the Yeah, so
Oh,
that's I think what lots of people
I
like
just got
think of,
secondhand
like, which is
embarrassment from.
so awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's why the game definitely avoids this, especially through having two characters, not one, but two, and two on very different, like different ends of the spectrum in a sense that they got treatment at different times in their lives, right?
Yeah.
So, and Isabel, and I completely forgot saying this earlier, but Isabel talks about masking and how she is basically masking every day, fitting in, and how she thinks to some extent that River is more free than her because she can never be herself because she learned how to like mask every time to kind of fit into society. And I think that's why it, while it does has to, while it has to simplify some things, it doesn't like diminish it.
Yeah, I think the game was made to bring more awareness to that rather than, like just showing
Yeah,
how it is or ridicule it or something. I think maybe the developer, whoever created the game, I can't remember his name. Maybe he had personal experience with it and he just wanted to make people aware and let them learn more about these diagnoses and spectrums and everything.
possibly. Yes. What about the trigger aspect? So triggering in a sense, emotions always get triggered by different things. I think what we talk about specifically is imagery that is used to inflict harm, very stark, like a gut reaction from you. How does this apply to the game?
I don't think it does. It doesn't at all trigger negatively. If anything, it triggers positively if you make,
Yeah.
like, I've made very personal emotional connections and I was triggered, but it wasn't negatively. It was
Yeah. It
in a
was
place of
relatable.
love and passion. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it was a lot of relatable.
Yeah.
Like, it did make me think about me, my life, and my things
Right.
rather than, yeah. It, like Kat said, definitely good, positive triggers.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the only very like scene that we get that is very disturbing is the scene where the mom runs over
Yeah.
her own child, and since it's all like pixel graphics, there's no excessive like zooming in on the scene. There's no excessive blood.
Mm.
It's definitely, and I think that's like you're not, and you're kind of already get prepared for it. Like you can kind of tell that this is something like this is gonna come up, right? So it's not.
Can we quickly know the cat laughed at that scene?
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Probably because I'm like, bruh,
I
like, who
mean,
just doesn't look behind them? Like, you don't have a backup camera in 2011? Bruh.
apparently
Maybe it's
not.
also because my mom has, like, hit me with her car a few times, but, it's whatever.
So casually.
So then we have different physical reactions to emotional reactions, which are not always like this, but sometimes they go opposite.
Right.
So if you feel extreme triggered, you laugh instead of cry.
Well, that's,
do
Can
that
really
a lot.
disturb, especially neurotypical people. It can be really disturbing to some people.
Laugh the pain away.
In the very end, we have that is. I think that one is a bit hard. Like if especially people with mental health disorders are plot device or if they're important on their own.
Yes.
It took me.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Because the whole game uses it as a plot device, but it in
Yeah.
of itself is important.
Yeah. That's how I would describe it as well. Like, yes, it's a plot device, and it
that's
is
because
literally
that's
the
the plot.
entire plot.
Yeah.
So it's not just a device; it is
It
integral.
is the plot. It's not a
Yeah.
plot
It is
device.
the
It is
plot.
the plot, period. Therefore, it is important on its own.
Yeah, it doesn't make it feel like we already discussed. It doesn't make it feel, oh, what a nice dab. It doesn't make for everyone listening. Kat just did a very nice dab. It isn't like diminishing it to anything. Like, it isn't limiting. It feels like exactly because this is the way it is.
Yeah.
This makes sense. It's not like, oh, we gotta find a way to make the story work. What if we what if we put her on the autism spectrum?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like that. It feels like this was the start and that's how it developed.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, we've come to the very last plot point, everyone, which is very exciting. Oh, not plot point, very last thing point. And um, hmm, okay, let me see. Who I want to start with? I think I want to start with switch up with Inna as the guest. Yes. Okay, Inna. Out of 10 blue and yellow paper rabbits, how many paper rabbits would you give this game?
Honestly, I don't give too many games high, points. I give it 10 out of 10 because it is very well made game and it has a good story, great story, triggers great emotions. 10 out of 10. If you're looking for something, with high quality graphics and everything, this is not a game, but the quality of the game is not important here. It was the story. 10 out of 10, nothing else. I would give it 20 out of 10, 100 out of 10.
Damn. Okay, Anna.
Let's
I was
go.
really impressed by the game.
That is a lot of paper rabbits. All right, Messenger. Out of how many platypi would you give to the moon?
I think I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Only because I had lots of issues with the controls. And especially in that one scene where Dr. Watts runs to his colleague, and his colleague is changing everything, and she's like fighting him in the memory world, and you have to evade all these different traps and stuff.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It was so frustrating to me. I couldn't get through it because my brain couldn't deal with the controls because they're very different from controls nowadays.
Yeah.
So if anyone would want to give the game a rework with the controls to make it a bit more streamlined with what I'm used to nowadays, easy 10 out of 10. But also if you start with clicking and then you later on introduce WASD and arrow keys as running and shooting, just my brain completely gave up on that point. I think that's definitely, I think that took me out of the experience multiple times. I think that's why I'm retracting to platypi. All right, Kat, out of 10 lighthouses, how many lighthouses?
I gotta say 10 out of 10 lighthouses. I cried on
Nice.
stream for the first time. I enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed the story. I think it was well told. It held my interest for just the right amount of time. It wasn't dragging. It dragged, but it wasn't overbearing. When it got to the point of me getting frustrated, things started to make sense, and I got that fulfillment that made me want to continue. Yeah, 10 out of 10 lighthouses.
Amazing.
Well, there you have it. Amazing. Let's fucking go. All right, Inna, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me on Twitch if you like watching streams and just watching me be awkward at HelloIamInna. Same as Instagram and on TikTok. If you follow me on TikTok, I'm just gonna send you millions of TikToks. I don't post a lot.
Perfect.
Inna plays games.
Amazing. We're gonna link everyone's of Inna socials in the description box, so you better click on those links and give Inna a follow on all of them.
If you don't, I'll know.
Yeah.
Kat's gonna find
Yeah.
you.
And it's gonna be bad. Just saying.
Oh my god. Well, Kat, where can people find you to tell you that they followed Inna?
Y'all can tell me that you followed Inna over at twitch.tv/IamCatastrophic, or send me an Instagram DM over at She's Catastrophic. Those are pretty much the only things I use at the moment. Or YouTube, I Am Catastrophic. What about you, Messenger? Should people tell you that they followed Inna?
Yeah, they can come over to twitch.tv/littlemessenger or youtube.com/thelittlemessenger. Maybe Instagram. I think it's also _little messenger.
She can teach you how to download Sims 2.
Oh, YouTube, yes. If you want to download Sims 2 and install it, I got a whole guide for you, and I answered to every comment. I even got a whole Instagram DM story last time, and we figured out together with that person how to install it, and we got it to work.
Aw,
And it was
you're
really
so
sweet and
helpful.
wholesome, and I had a heckin' good time doing that. So I will do that for you. I will literally let everything, like, I had
You're
no
too
idea who this
precious.
person was, and I still don't, but we connected,
Oh,
and now
nice.
they can play the game, which is really fun. Also, I want to give a very special shout out to Yummy Rocks from Twitch, who every day this week has been telling me how much they love the podcast. And
Aw, that means so much
I just want to say
me.
thank you so much for listening. This means a lot. So I know it means a lot to you, Yummy Rocks. So I just want to say thank you. That's really, because it means a lot to us. And yeah.
And if episodes aren't coming out fast enough, direct that anger towards Kat.
No, that's
Get good, Kat.
That's
Just
not.
get good, Kat. Honestly, for real though. Honestly, Kat, fucking get good. What is
Yeah.
even fucking L?
Rip, Kat.
I know. I'll tell her. I'll leave a
All
note.
right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
I love you, Inna.
Love you, Inna,
I love you,
so
Messenger.
much.
Thank
Let's
you.
go.
Bye.